Welcome to the Love Fashionably podcast. I'm so excited that you joined me again on this Monday night. Happy December. Merry Christmas. It is officially the holiday season for all of you who are waiting till after Thanksgiving. It is now after Thanksgiving. So welcome to the Christmas side. I've been here for a while. Happy to have you join me. As always, want to say a big thank you to BGTV Studios for hosting our podcast each and every week. They do so much behind the scenes. And so a big thank you to them. Be sure to check them out on Facebook and YouTube. Like, comment, share, post your comments in the bottom. All of those things will help this to come up more frequently on your Facebook homepage. And also, if you're on YouTube a lot, then it will start to come up and it'll be there more for you so you can be sure that you're not missing anything. There are lots of podcasts that are happening not only on Monday night, but all throughout the week, and new ones being added all the time. So there is a website, bgtvstudios.com, that you can also check out for a list of schedule, or just hang around and scroll through on, I like to say, send everybody to YouTube, because then you can kind of see like all the playlist of all the different podcasts and kind of look through all of each one. That's a good way if you want to go back and watch any of our podcasts. Go to the Love Fashionably playlist on YouTube, and then you can kind of scroll through and see all the different ones. Don't go back too far. I just started in February. I was still trying to figure this out. I really don't feel like I got the hang of it till about midsummer, late summer, so don't go back too far in the archive just yet. I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, yeah, I was still trying to figure it out. I said, I've got probably about like 6 months worth, I'll get there sometime, of material that I can go back and record it sometime, because the first time it wasn't very good. So, but thanks for joining. It is December. It is after Thanksgiving when this airs. I'm actually doing a little pre-record. So this is right before Thanksgiving. So I don't have any like fun Thanksgiving stories. There's no, like Iron Bowl kind of like, things. I'm still recovering from the previous week. I don't know how you Barners do this every year. Like 3 losses is a lot. Like I'm over here struggling, and we've had 3 losses, and this is the most we've had in a long time. And I became an Alabama fan during the Shula days, so I don't know how you people do this. Like it's been hard. It's just, fun times over here. We like to joke around. We like to talk football. We like to talk fashion. And we like to talk a little bit and a lot of Jesus. Just to kind of give a little bit of a rundown on our schedule as we are coming to the end of the year. I want to look up these dates so I don't tell you wrong, because I'm kind of thinking that for the next few weeks. So this is December the 2nd. And then we will have another live podcast on the 9th and the 16th. And then we are going to take off on the 23rd and the 30th. So just right before Christmas and New Year's. The 6th, January 6th, is kind of up in the air. So we'll kind of see if we're back by then or not. So be tuning in to the Facebook page to kind of see. We might do like a re-air or something there, or it might be a new one. We might be kicking off the new year. I'll let you know probably as we go through the month. But it's probably also the last time that you see just me. I do have a couple guests lined up for the podcast, which if you're like me, that's really exciting, because you're probably tired of just hearing my voice all the time. I know I am. So I'm very excited to have 2 people that'll be coming on within the next few weeks, as long as our schedules all align, and they will be joining me. So that is also very exciting that we have going on here this month. So you don't want to miss it. Be sure again to hit subscribe so you don't ever miss anything going live. So just to kind of kick off the holiday month, I had to wear my red. It is my crimson red, but also my Christmas red. And as we are heading into this Christmas season, a lot of you, I know some people, they'll take and they'll read like the whole month of December, like a chapter a day, reading the gospel or reading the story of the birth of Jesus. Some people just do that at Christmas, on Christmas Day, or whenever you celebrate with your family. Some people sit around and they just read the birth story of Jesus. And so last year I was kind of reading through it, and here we like to just bring a new perspective to different things. That's what I really enjoy doing. It's not really, it's just telling you the story and then maybe throwing in something new just to kind of make you think. That's what we like to do around here. And it's funny because when I shared this last December on BGT, well, I think that was the name of it, was Brad's podcast. So it was still right before all of this really launched. And I was kind of just thinking over, would I be doing a podcast or not? I'd kind of committed in my heart, kind of knew it was where I was going. I don't think I'd verbally committed yet. So I had shared this then, and it was the last one of his podcast for 23. Heading into this year. And so as I was kind of thinking what I wanted to kick off our holiday season here at Love Fashionably, it would kind of be the same thing. So I thought that was kind of a cool little full circle moment that has happened here at BGTV Studios. So just kind of looking, I'm not going to sit down and read the full story. I know most of you know the story if you're here. If not, go read it on your own time, because that's what I want to do. I want to kind of throw a few things at you, kind of make you think about a few things a little bit differently. And then hopefully will inspire you to go read the story on your own and to see what perspective and new things that you have from it. Because we all know that, it's the miracle birth story, and there's nothing to take away from that. It's a miracle. It's amazing. It's God coming to earth in human form. It's something our minds really can't comprehend. And it's just it's just amazing. And I'm not taking away from that. Again, I'm just kind of throwing a new little way to think about it. Just kind of when we look at the story, I want to, again, kind of bring a perspective of where the stories come from, what books of the Bible, and kind of like who those people are as well. Because like I'm a speech therapist, and I do diagnose children with different disabilities, such as language disabilities, articulation disabilities. And when I'm gathering my information to be able to do that and to do that well and to the best of my ability, the first thing I ask is, what is your history? So I want to know all of the background history. I want to gather all of this, which is just the perspective of the child. So I have like a good idea of who the child is based on the information or the report that I have, plus the background. And so I feel like the background can always be pretty important. So I wanted to look in all 4 of the Gospels. So if you don't know, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and see about the story of Jesus. And so what I found out was that it actually only shows up in 2 of those Gospels, Luke and Matthew. And Luke, as we know, he is a medical doctor. And so doctors, one thing we know about them, they're very detail-oriented. I'm going to get my words out. We're filming a little late on a Monday night, and by late, I mean like 8 o'clock. And I've had to work all day. Normally I would be like, oh, I can't film this late because I'm like already getting ready for bed. I know, grandma. But so my words, I'm fumbling, but I'm going to get there. Just hang with me tonight. So Luke is a medical doctor, and doctors, I don't know about you, I want my doctor to be very detail-oriented. I want him to know all of my background history. I want to know everything that he's going to do in the future about all of it. I want him to, and if he doesn't know, I want him to go ask somebody, look it up, not Google, but, go to his medical journals or whatever, like get all the details before you're going to do anything, prescribe me medication, or it's definitely type of surgery. So I want someone that's detail-oriented. So it makes sense of why this story is found in Luke's gospel. The other gospel it's in is in Matthew's. Matthew, we know, is a tax collector. He was also one of the disciples. So a tax collector, in my mind, when I think of that, I don't really know what his job really was like back then. I'm like, what was he? I know he was like kind of on the side of the road, like he was taking up people's collecting taxes. I get that. You're like, Abby, he's tax collector. I get that. But, like I think of someone that does taxes, like in our day. You want those people to be very detail oriented because you do not want the government coming after you. So I thought that, that was kind of cool. So like the two gospels that it's in are the two writers that are very detail oriented. So they don't want to leave anything out. It doesn't appear in John or Mark. John was, again, another disciple. He kind of he doesn't skim past it, but he just really starts with Jesus's ministry. And then Mark does the same. And we know that Mark is, he's writing the story, but he was friends with Barnabas, who was a missionary with Paul. And so Luke, too, was also with Paul. And so you kind of have, Paul's perspective woven in those gospels, too. So I just to kind of throw that out there. But there's really 4 different things that I wanted to look at briefly as we go through and talk about 4 little different perspectives. So Mary's account, Joseph's account, the shepherd's account, and the wise men's account. And so Mary's and the shepherds are in Luke, and Joseph's and the wise men's are in Matthew. And so to really get the full picture, I feel like you have to read them together. Like you can't, I feel like so many times we have them just separated. Like you just pick one and you read it and it's like, oh, that's good. But if you want the full picture, then you have to also be detail oriented and get Mary's perspective and Joseph's perspective, because they are very different, obviously, in this scenario. When this really takes place, so we know right before this in Luke, we've just had the announcement of John the Baptist, which happened in a temple, but there's been 4 centuries from the Old Testament to the New Testament without a word from the Lord. And I don't know about you, but if I'm Mary and I'm just like going about my day and an angel appears, a man appears standing in front of me, first thing I think is not going to be like, yes, sir, what do you have to hear? I'm going to be like, ready to fight. Like, all right, who are you? Where are you from? Give me all the details, like, before I go grab this kitchen knife, I just try to picture it logically. Like, I don't know, like, if that happened to me, if I was Mary, I would be terrified when that first happened. And it does say that she was scared, but there was a couple things that I really do love. I mean, he says that you are blessed and highly favored. Like, what type of life had Mary had to have been living all this time? We know that she's a young teenager around this time. She's not like, really old, but what life has she been living for the Lord to look across history and to point out her and to be like, you're the one that I want to carry my son, my prized possession. I just think that's so amazing. But a few things is that I just kind of noted that I want to share. So, in Mary, it takes faith to birth God's promise in your life. And how will that happen? Because it says that, the Holy Spirit overshadowed her and she became pregnant. And I just wrote down that the Holy Spirit must overshadow you or come upon you, and you must wait for the Lord's guidance. It did say, she was confused, she was disturbed. It's like, I get you, girl. Like, yes, I would be too. And sometimes when the Lord does share things with us, we are a bit confused and disturbed and we don't really understand. But I loved that thought of having faith is what births promises in our life. We talked last time or the time before about honor can be the currency of heaven. I think faith is that too. I feel like faith and honor together really help birth the promises in our life. And so I loved that kind of idea about Mary, because yes, we think about her, but we probably don't think about her a lot. And so kind of what it took for her to carry and to fulfill that promise. It obviously was not the plan that she had, but we know that God's plan is always greater than ours. Another perspective to think about was, so Mary had an angel come down and tell her for Joseph, he saw everything not in a vision, but through a dream. And it took a lot of faith, I would think, again, we're talking about this faith thing, to bring about the promise of God, to believe from a dream. I mean, I don't know about you, but my dreams can be kind of crazy sometimes. And to think that God hasn't really spoken to people on earth for 4 centuries, and all of a sudden, Joseph has a dream that, he's about Mary giving birth to the Son of God, and he's still like, that's just crazy to me to think about that. And the faith that Joseph had to have to be like, okay, and to follow God's plan. And then the other was the wise men. So they kind of probably had to look a little crazy. And I know there's several movie accounts of this, and, they're obviously called wise men for a reason because they were very wise. I know in one movie account, they have them as astrologers that are like following the stars because they know where it aligns. Personally, I don't really know a whole lot about them if that's what the Bible says. And when they were told they didn't know exactly where they were going. They just had a general idea. And I put down that, sometimes when God tells you something that you're not going to always know exactly what you're doing, where you're going, you will have a general idea, but you will know what to do when you get there. And like the wise man, it's like when they arrived, you always see, we know the nativity scenes, they knew who he was when they got to him. And sometimes that's our journey for us. So it takes the faith like of Mary and Joseph just to birth God's promise into our lives. And then sometimes we can be like the wise men, and you have to just have the faith and not understand the full journey, but just to follow along, and you'll know when you get there. And then the last one was the shepherds. And it says an angel appeared to them and he told them in advance. So they kind of had like a little bit of warning versus everyone else kind of following blindly. And sometimes when we're following God, that's our warning too. All of these things in different perspectives take faith, but I just wanted to kind of show like all of the different people within the story had to have great faith to get to the promise of God, to get to God, to get to Jesus, I guess. And so it took a lot of faith. It took a lot of courage. It took a little acting a little silly to the world because the world didn't really understand what they were doing or where they were going. But when they got to him, everything just made sense in their life. And what a beautiful picture that is for us in our lives. And then one final kind of thought here. Something I had recently read said that lostness equals value. And the main character of our story here, if you will, of course, is Jesus. And if lostness equals value, and then it said, what would you pay for something you lost? It tells the value of the item. And God gave us Jesus. Because, think about it, like lostness equals values. If you lose something, like how long you look for it, the great the search is for it, how long it takes for you, are you turning the whole house upside down for it? Are you like, I could just get another one? That determines the value of an item. And when God looked down at all of us, the value over our lives was Jesus. His most prized possession, the only thing that he could think that would be enough to purchase for all of us was Jesus. And so just to kind of leave you with that thought as we enter into the holiday season. Yes, I love Christmas. I love the decorations. I definitely love all of the fun Hallmark, Great American Family Christmas movies. Yes, I'm that girl. I love everything with the Christmas music. I think it's just such a fun time because there's such a joy. I feel like this time of year, everybody else has like a little bit of extra hope, this time of year. And it's because we're all reminded of the greatest story that was really ever told, which was the story of Jesus coming. And we know it doesn't end in a manger. And it doesn't end on a cross. It was carried to the cross, but it ends in heaven. And so, just as we enter into this season, just something to kind of think about, to remember that, and to see that God's promises for our lives, he still has things. He's still working on the earth. Luckily for us, we don't have to wait 4 centuries for him to talk again. The Holy Spirit can talk to us every day. And whenever we're ready to listen, honestly, a lot of the times he's trying to talk and we just won't shut up or we won't be quiet enough to listen. So we have the luxury of having that connection with him all the time if we allow it. and such a beautiful and exciting time. I hope that you have or let me just reword that again. It's kind of late, the words. Let's just rewind that. I hope that you do have a wonderful holiday season. This is like December 2nd. We're just getting started. It's a whole month. I really hope it goes so slow because November went really fast. So I'm hoping our holiday season goes really slow. But again, just a little perspective, just something to think about as we enter into this season. I hope that you have the greatest week. Play all of that Christmas music, and I will see you again here next Monday night.